As we continue on with our ruck series, one of the things that we want to talk about is waterproof bags. These are near and dear to my heart. You know, I used them for 25 years in the SEAL teams constantly. You can use this just as an independent bag if you're, going on a rafting trip, you're going, you're insert on a canoe, somewhere where you could get wet. The worst thing in the world is to dump your boat, have everything in your rucksack completely soaked. So highly recommend one of these if some of your ways to get there is going to be on a boat or around the water or a Zodiac, or you're going out to an island or anywhere where you're over a body of water. This is the piece of kit you want to use. A couple items about these. This is designed roughly to fit inside the main compartment of your rucksack. You will notice that there is a little bit of extra slack, but you'll see that when we get it loaded. A couple items to note on this: when there's a valve right here, this is to purge. You want to get as much air out of it as you can. That way it'll slide into the pack better. So that has that access right there. You'll see these two strips right here. This actually creates the seal. After everything's loaded, you'll fold it, and we'll demonstrate that in a minute. You'll fold this down right on those first two lines, so they're connecting, and then you'll fold that from there 2 more times down. That creates your seal, and then when everything's loaded, you'll snap that together. But we'll show you that when we get this thing loaded and put it into the rucksack. Okay, now that we've got all our kit loaded into our waterproof bag, we need to suck it down, purge it. This is where you can get a little creative with your packing. Your water doesn't have to go in this. Your water can be in smaller bottles, Nalgene's, smaller containers out on the outside of the pack. You do still want to keep that up high, so sometimes you may want to open the bottom container of this so this goes all the way to the bottom and then your water can come up high. But remember, you don't have to do this. Another thing to remember when you're packing into your waterproof bag, this is they're strong membrane, but they don't react well to sharp edges. So take some time, use your clothing, your socks, whatever, anything that does have a sharp edge or could poke through this when we suck it down and put some pressure on it, that it will be protected from tearing the membrane, because that will just make this useless. So we got it all full. Like I said, now we're going to fold between the two lines, right? So that way the two hard membranes wrap, and then we want to wrap it down 2 more times, and that will give us our waterproof seal, and then this will snap together. So now we're all good, but notice we have all this air in it, right? So now we're going to take our purge valve, we're going to make sure it's open, and we're going to compress everything down. You can hear the air coming out of it. You want to get as much air out of it as you can, and you notice how much, because of all your clothing and everything else in there, that's going to get some air. Once you got the max amount of pressure, you reach up, close that valve, and now your pack is nice and tight, and you can fit it into your rucksack. If you notice on the rucksack, now that we've got this, usually we would put our sleeping bag, everything down here, but in this instance, we have that in our waterproof bag. So inside this ruck, there's a section where you can open that bottom compartment to get access to it with a zipper. That way, your waterproof bag will fit all the way down inside. You have a lot more room using the whole bottom of the ruck. So now our ruck's all the way open. Then we just take our bag, that will slide into our rucksack. Takes a little manipulation sometimes. Sometimes it's a 2-man effort, but usually we can get it done with 1. We'll slide in, and notice how this fills your whole compartment all the way down to the bottom. All the way down to the bottom here. Rucksack, waterproof bags all the way to the top. You can still have some room for some things on top that may not necessarily need to be waterproofed. You still have your outside pouches. This is where you can put your water and Nalgene smaller containers, Camelback, stuff like that, higher up and keep them in here. But then the closures is just the same as before. Remember to tie your bow knot with your barrel locks. Keep those all in. Same with your ladder lock. Make sure that's tied up. And that's the waterproof bag. And then it shuts up, and there's your rucksack, fully loaded, fully waterproof, ready to go. One nice thing about waterproof bag, there's still a little bit of air in them, so the chances are this is still going to float, or at most it'll be a little bit neutral. So if it does fall overboard, you still will be able to retrieve it. I will say make sure you tie this stuff into boats, tie your rucks into boats, things like that. You don't want to turn into a used car lot floating down the river with all your stuff, but you know, again, like I said, the waterproof bag can be used independently. You know, maybe have all your stuff in the waterproof bag, have your rucksack just tied into the boat. If you're doing a long portage or canoe ride or Zodiac or whatever, you get to a place, you re-jock, that waterproof bag folds up into very small, and then you can load your rucksack normally as you would for the hike, and then you're ready to come back out.